actions of the countries before the First World War. You may just purely get asked about, it was the actions of Austria-Hungary, but the reason for the outbreak of the First World War. And in that case, if it was an essay, you could talk about, it was Austria-Hungary and explain that. But also you could bring in, no, because it was what happened with Germany. No, it's also what Serbia were doing. So the countries you need to know in terms of actions would be Austria-Hungary, Germany and Serbia. Okay, Austria-Hungary. Let's start with that one. So Austria-Hungary were basically involved in two key things before the First World War. The first one was the Bosnia crisis, which you're welcome to look at the podcast on, but I'll explain it against here. And also, you need to know about what happens after the assassination of the Archduke. So, in the Bosnia crisis, Austria-Hungary was slightly to blame for the First World War because in 1908 they suddenly decide to annex Bosnia, take Bosnia from Serbia. So this was always going to cause problems because Serbia would always want Bosnia back, so would look for revenge on Austria-Hungary, and this caused tensions between them. And obviously in terms of the Bosnia crisis, that nearly started war itself because Austria-Hungary dragged Germany in and Germany threatened Russia with war. Okay, so because of the actions in Bosnia, that was partly a reason why they were to blame. But also, after the assassination of their own Archduke, in 1914, there was the ultimatum that also was very, very significant. So Austria-Hungary sent an ultimatum of 10 really tough demands to Serbia, and they said that if they met all 10 of those, they wouldn't go to war against them. Now, as you know, what ends up happening is only 9 out of the 10 demands are met, and this is really, really significant. So only 9 out of 10 demands are met. And really, demand number 6, which was about these people, the Serbian terrorist group being tried in their own country, Austria-Hungary could have let that happen, but they refused to. So then, they only met 9 out of 10 demands, so Austria-Hungary decided to declare war anyway. And the thing that is strange about that is even the Kaiser, who was obviously on Austria-Hungary's side, said, well, with the meeting 9 out of 10 demands, with it goes all reason for war. So that was really significant because actually even the Kaiser didn't feel like there was any need to go to war, but Austria-Hungary were absolutely set on revenge against Serbia. So that was a major reason why they were to blame for the First World War. Okay, so let's look at Serbia. They are by no means guilt-free in terms of what happens to cause the First World War. So, we've talked about before the Bosnia crisis. So after Bosnia had been taken from Serbia, Serbia then were absolutely set on revenge to try and get Bosnia back off Austria-Hungary. And they wanted to get some revenge on Austria-Hungary. So obviously what happened in terms of this was the assassination of the Archduke and then them only meeting 9 out of the 10 demands. So the assassination of the Archduke I will do on another podcast, so you can look at that. I'm sure you're brilliant at that one anyway. But Serbia decide that the Serbian terrorist group are basically going to assassinate the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, which is the heir to their throne. He is assassinated on the second attempt on that day, and it's when he's on a state visit to Bosnia. And the reason why the Serbian terrorists do it then is obviously they think it's cheeky that he happens to be in Bosnia on an important religious day for both Bosnia and Serbia. So the assassination certainly was the trigger for war, so Serbia are to blame as well for the First World War. But then when they get sent the ultimatum by Austria-Hungary, there's 10 demands and they only meet 9 out of the 10 demands. Now this is a major, major problem because obviously if they met 10 out of 10 demands, possibly, we don't know, we'll never know, but possibly Austria-Hungary might never have gone to war with them. But because they only meet 9 out of 10 and refuse to meet demand number 6, which basically mentioned that what wouldn't happen is they wouldn't want those people, tried in Austria-Hungary, they'd want the terrorists tried, on home soil. That didn't happen, and ultimately that meant, in the end, that war was declared by Austria-Hungary on Serbia. And they obviously drag other countries in. Now, the final country that there could be some sort of blame for war on could be Germany. And if you're going to write about this, all you need to think about in terms of this is the Kaiser's aims in foreign policy. So you need to be talking about all the things about, Weltpolitik, wanting a bigger empire, their place in the sun. He wanted to ensure they had, you know, more, you know, influence in terms of Europe. So talk about as well, he wants to dominate Europe. Talk about all the things that, you know, about what he does with Morocco and what he does in the Bosnia crisis. So anything that Germany do, the naval race, any aggressive actions that they show that Kaiser Wilhelm is certainly playing a role in the causes of the First World War. All right.